Hello, good evening. How are you doing? It is, of course, Friday, and it is the big show. Rich and Andreas talk AWFC. Of course, it's been a very, very busy week. It's been a busy week for me as well because, as you can see, I'm in rather unusual surroundings. We are away at the moment in the lovely Lake District. We're staying on a farm, so it's all good stuff. But we have got a lot to talk about on the show, of course, as always. It's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? Of course, there was the game against Chelsea. We're going to look back on that, all the controversy around that. Then, of course, there was the Bayern Munich game in midweek in the Champions League. Maybe the less said about that, the better. But we will discuss that. And, of course, it's another busy week. North London derby, of course, on Sunday. And next midweek, it is another Champions League game, another team we played last season, Real Madrid. All coming up after this. And of course, joining us as always, it is, of course, Andreas, fresh from a busy week for Andreas as well. He's been travelling about. Of course, he was at the Chelsea game and Bayern Munich. How are you this week? Are you okay?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And yeah, good evening, Mr. Holiday.
I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. What is going on?
I can hear and see you.
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
I don't know what's happening.
Everything is working. I can see you. I can hear you.
I can't hear anything. What is going on? What is going on?
It was such a busy week.
So if I pull it on there, so the sound's coming through.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I just can't hear anything. Why can't I hear anything? What is happening here?
I don't know.
Oh, hang on.
Maybe the Wi-Fi is too weak in your Airbnb.
Oh, I can hear now. Good. I have the settings all wrong. Sorry about that. Right, I can hear everybody. That's good news. Right, we are back in business. Andreas, sorry about all that. How are you this week? I know you've had a busy week travelling all over the place.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you now. Good. I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, it will be a different show with your in your resort. But anyway, let's hope it works. I think we have a lot to discuss, and wasn't the best week, but yeah, due to results.
Exactly. Miss Pinksock's with us. We can hear both our good stuff. And LG says, "Good evening. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, my friend. Hope you had a great day. At least the team couldn't ruin it for you by playing." Charles says, "Our ladies have lost their credibility." Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Which the Goon always messing up. Yes, I know. I've messed up. My settings was wrong. Anyway, we have got it all sorted now. So, of course, only one place we can really start. That is, of course, last weekend, and the big game was rather ruined. I mean, obviously, Andreas mentioned it on his vlog as well. I mean, I don't think I can remember a game with so many poor decisions by an official, all going against us, it seemed. I mean, how we played and how the game went is almost irrelevant because the whole thing was ruined. And I'm not saying, you could look at it and say, okay, was Leslie Russo offside when she scored? Possibly. Was Frida Marnham offside when she scored? Maybe not. Was it a handball against Stina? Well, clearly not. So we definitely would have got one of those goals was definitely legitimate. Two of them, we don't know. But what annoyed me was, especially on the third goal, or what would have been the second goal, the one that Frida scored, when you look at the replay and where the Lions woman is over the other side, she can't have been certain it was offside. She might have thought it could be offside, but if you're not certain, you keep your flag down. and you let the game go, unless you know it's offside, then you put your flag up. That's always been the case. You give the advantage to the attacking team. And I can guarantee you, if Chelsea had scored that goal, the flag stays down, the goal counts, and we lose 2-1. And that is the worst point of it. I don't mind, you know, I can handle losing games if you don't play well, whatever it is, you deserve to lose. But when you're cheated out of a result that the team deserved on the day, we deserved to win that game. Second half was brilliant. And to get cheated out of it like that, I mean, Andreas, you was in the stadium. I mean, what was the atmosphere like around all of these decisions? Because, I mean, the Steiner one was the worst of the lot, wasn't it? Because there's no way that's handball in a million years.
Yeah. I can't remember what I said on the blog after the game, but yeah, I was so disappointed or shocked from everything that happened there. And yeah, as you called it, it was a robbery. I mean, you can talk about our performance. You can talk about the first half in which Chelsea was a lot better and should have brought the match to bed. They should have been at least 3-0 up at halftime. Totally deserved. You can talk about this. You can say Arsenal was weak in the first half. But anyway, that's no reason to not give a goal like Steiner's. If the referee is in doubt and hasn't seen it and thinks, oh, maybe there could have been something, I'm not sure, but maybe you can't do such a decision with maybe. Did she see it or didn't she see handball? She couldn't have seen handball, as it was no handball. There was a Chelsea player standing between the referee and Steiner, and so she must let the game continue and give the goal. And even after Steiner has scored, everybody was celebrating. The announcer said, goal to the Arsenal, scored by Steiner. He said it 3 times. Everybody said Blackstenius. The team was celebrating. And then I thought, why is the referee not going to the middle line? What's going on? Because I first looked at the lineswoman and she seemed to run or make a few steps to the middle. So everything pointed out that it's a goal. And then after, it felt like 2 minutes or so, she decided not to give the goal. There was no explanation. And yeah, maybe Leslie's goal, maybe she was 1 or 2 millimeters offside, maybe. But in the stadium you couldn't see, and everybody was celebrating again. I couldn't see any flag from the lineswoman, so I was sure this is a goal. And the third goal would have been the 2-1 for us. I think the TV replay and so showed it was not offside. It was very, very neat and difficult decision, but with VAR this would have stood. But in this situation, I saw the lineswoman raise the flag. And so I didn't jump up and celebrate. The guy near me was jumping up and celebrating. And I said, no, it's offside. It will not count. But after the game, everybody had this feeling we were robbed. We had a good performance in the second half with very good last 20, 25 minutes. And if you score 3 goals, you deserve to win. Of course, Chelsea could have been 3-0 up, but they haven't. They have only scored 1 goal. So they didn't deserve to take a point away. And I think if we talk about this game in 3 or 5 years, we will still say the robbery 2025. And everybody will remember this game. I mean, the Steiner goal was the most terrible referee decision I saw over years. Yeah, I remember the one when we conceded against Man City, when the referee was blocking the ball or assisting the goal. Yeah, this is 3 or 4 years ago. Yes, this was similar. Totally unacceptable decision. And when I think about this, I'm still angry and emotional. No, I have no more words.
Yeah, I mean, the Steiner one was the worst of the 3. There's absolutely no doubt that was the worst of the 3. And I mean, obviously we talk about VAR because it was mentioned a lot. 170 Gunner says don't want VAR. Which I kind of agree, I must admit. Ryan disagrees, says need VAR, they won't have anything to talk about. Well, yeah, I mean, I actually think that if VAR was in this game, I think because the referee disallowed Steener's goal, VAR would have just stuck with that decision and still disallowed it because it wouldn't have been conclusive enough. So that goal doesn't count. Leslie Russo's goal on VAR would have got disallowed because she was offside. And I think the third goal from Frida Minor would have probably got disallowed as well on VAR. So we'd have actually lost 1-0. So I don't think VAR is the answer. It wasn't the answer in this game, and I don't think it's the answer. When you look at the Premier League, what they need to do is you cannot have a referee in the WSL, the top level of football in women's football, working in a school during the week, or working as a cleaner during the week, or whatever it is job that they do, working as a policewoman or whatever they do, right? They've got to be full-time referees. It's got to be like the Premier League. I'm not saying the referees in the Premier League are any good, because they're not, but you've got to start with that. Start with improving the standard of the referees on the pitch before you look at any technology, because if you have technology, who's running the technology? The same referees that are on the pitch making mistakes after mistake after mistake. We've seen it in the Premier League. So VAR is not the answer. Absolutely is not the answer. And they've got to start with the referees themselves. They need to have full-time referees. You cannot have referees that have got other jobs and then they're refereeing part-time and they're doing it in the WSL, the top level of women's football in Europe. You can't have it. It's just not acceptable. And at the end of the day, yes, a full-time referee could still have made those mistakes. Of course they could. We've seen in the Premier League, they still make mistakes. But at least that way, then we can rule it out. For me, it's like if you've got another job and then you're refereeing, with the pressure that there is now in the WSL, with the more money that's there, the TV coverage, all this kind of stuff, there's more pressure on the referees. And if they're distracted because they've had a bad day at work or a bad week at work or this, that, and the other, it could affect their performance on the pitch. And that could be the reason why it wasn't just her, that the Lions woman on the far side as well had a bad day at the office, right? And it can happen. But if they're full time, then at least there's some kind of something that can be done about it, you know, whether they can not be paid or they can have a fine or they can be suspended for a short period of time. At the minute, they're almost volunteers. Like, they get paid expenses. So they're basically volunteers. You can't exactly sack them and say, sorry, you're not having a game next week, because they're volunteers. We don't have enough referees. Something needs to be done. The whole thing needs to be looked at. And if one game could push that to happening, it's got to be Arsenal against Chelsea, because it's the biggest game in the country and it got completely ruined. We don't know, let's be honest, we feel cheated out of a win that we probably deserve for the second half performance, and we obviously feel strongly about it, but you've got to look at it from an outside perspective. People watching that game maybe don't support Chelsea, don't support Arsenal, probably don't even support English football. They're maybe from abroad, whatever it is. You know, people in the chat watch the games, they're not from England, right? And people will look at that game from all around the world, and instead of talking about what a fantastic game of football it was between two brilliant teams, all anybody's going to be talking about is these terrible decisions. And whether they've gone for us or against us, whether they've gone for Chelsea or against Chelsea, is almost irrelevant. The fact that they were bad decisions, I wouldn't have felt comfortable if it'd been the other way. If Chelsea scored a goal like Steiner scored and it got disallowed, I would still feel that women's football, the WSL, has been dealt a really bad hand for that decision, because it's totally wrong, completely wrong. And it spoilt the game. It spoilt what was a really good game of football between two very good teams. And that cannot keep happening. It cannot keep happening. We see it week after week in the WSL. The referees just aren't good enough. They are not good enough, and they have to improve that. It's no good bringing VAR in, because, like I said, who's going to run VAR? The same referees that are making mistakes at the minute anyway. The same referees that work in schools or work whatever they do in their proper job, if you like, their full-time job. It's not good enough. For the WSL, you've got now, all the teams in WSL are professional. They're all full-time professionals. They get paid. Okay, people will say they don't get paid as much as the men. No, they don't. But they still get paid decent money. They're playing a top-level professional sport. And the people in charge of the game are amateurs. Amateurs. And that will be, if we bring VAR in, we can have the same amateurs running that. So no, VAR isn't necessarily, it's going to come in. We know it's going to, inevitable, it's going to happen as the bigger stadiums start getting used. There's technology there, they'll use it. Of course they will. But in the meantime, well, they can't, because it's unfair. We can have it at the Emirates, but you can't have it at, say, Brighton's ground, for example, or, you know, some of the other teams in the WSL that don't play in the big stadium. So in the meantime, they need to look at improving the standard of the referees. I mean, would you want VAR in it, Andreas, right now, or do you think that that's not really going to solve the problem? Because I don't think it will.
It's difficult to say. It's a discussion point, not only in our show or in English football. In Germany, there's the same discussion about VAR. And what I always say is VAR kills the emotions in football. And I remember Champions League games at the Emirates with VAR. You are celebrating last season against Real Madrid. You're celebrating a goal, and it takes 2 minutes, and you see on the screen VAR goal check. And then you say, you wait, and then there's no goal. Or after 2 minutes, it's decided, goal. After 2 minutes, I can't jump up and celebrate. Then it's just, okay, it's goal. Let's continue. So it kills emotions. But last Saturday, I think the first goal, Stina's goal, would have stood, because it was so obvious on the TV pictures that she stopped the ball with her belly or with her hip, and her arms were out. So everybody could see it was no handball. So even an amateur VAR would have seen this. But yeah, it's the standard of the referees and the education of the referees, and they must be paid as professionals. We have a professional first league, and I think the second WSL 2 is also professional fully, or at least half professional league, and we have referees on amateur standard. That's impossible. And we were discussing this a lot, and as I said, we are also discussing this in Germany on the German podcast. And remember 2 years ago there was a situation when Nuremberg was in the first league, and they were relegated at the end of the season, but they filed an official complaint to the German FA and said referees are costing us the relegation. In so many games, we were cheated from the referees, and it was an official complaint. Of course, they were not successful, because the FA, German FA, says it's referees decision, and that's the kind of football. And but anyway, this is, if a club decides to go official and with an official complaint to the FA, this says enough. And this season, it's once again big discussion point in Germany about VAR, and I think something will come. Maybe VAR light. Germany is talking about this, or challenges like in ice hockey or in other in the NFL, that the manager has a challenge or 2 challenges per game, and if he's right, then he still has the challenges, and if he's wrong, then he loses the challenge, etc. So that only a VAR check is done if a manager shows maybe a blue card and says, challenge, please check this. And otherwise, there's no VAR. I think, something will come. To want it, it's we want justice in football, but the other side is, as I said, it kills emotions, and I don't want to wait 2 minutes until I know whether I can celebrate or whether it's a penalty or not. But last Saturday, it felt like we were cheated and robbed from a win we deserved in the second half. And
no, it did. It definitely felt like that. And maybe I do quite like that idea of managers being able to pick decisions to challenge, maybe 2 or 3, whatever it is, per game or per half. I actually quite like that. They should have that in the Premier League, actually, because then, you can see on the bench they've got a monitor, haven't they? So they can look back at the incident straight away. And if they think this isn't right, but knowing they've only got 2 options to appeal, is that strong enough to appeal? Do we want to appeal this, or do we want to wait and see what happens? And I actually think that's a good idea, because then it gives some of that responsibility to the managers themselves, and also as well to the officials on the pitch. So I kind of like that idea. That would maybe solve a lot of the problems that we're seeing in VAR anyway. Perhaps that's the Premier League won't go backwards, because that would look like a backward step. In actual fact, it's a forward step when you think about it, but they won't look at it like that. But it would be a good idea to maybe trial it in the WSL, or maybe in women's football throughout Europe. Champions League, maybe they tend to trial a lot of things in European games. So I would like that, because I think that's some of that jeopardy comes back onto the manager themselves or the team. So I quite like that. And maybe the captain on the pitch could communicate to the manager, yes, we want to appeal this one, you know, because, or the players that are close to it and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd like that idea. I just don't think it'll happen. It's too clever. The FA and then everybody running football, UEFA, FIFA, won't agree to it because it makes too much sense. It's too obvious. It's going to make too much improvements, which is not what they want, I don't think. Because otherwise
FIFA wants to test this challenge situation in a U17 World Cup or so in the next years. They want to give them a go and check or test if this could work. For women's, I think U17 World Cup, it should be tested. So let's see, maybe in 5 years or so we will have it in the bigger leagues. It would be an idea, and as you said, it would be a step forward. But the Premier League won't go back to this scenario with challenges. They have their VAR and everything, and they won't change anything. But for women's football, it would be an idea. It's not the same cost as the full VAR, so maybe you could do it. Yeah, let's see.
I would actually like to see that, at least given a chance. Let's try and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, if it just causes chaos and it's even worse, then at least we'll know that it's not maybe the idea that we need. But certainly in principle, it seems like a good solution, or certainly a solution to try to get through. I mean, the referees need to be better first and foremost. I mean, John's made a good point here. The refereeing is so bad, the only way to fix it is VAR, because the refereeing won't fix itself, and it won't. We've lost points and games that have ruined our season again. It can't be that. It can't, but VAR is still run by referees. That's the problem, and the referees aren't good enough across the board in men's and women's football. LG says we have 5 days to save our season. Yeah, we'll come on to that in a minute, actually. Ryan says, I don't want a policewoman doing it. She'll be sending everyone off. Well, yeah, I mean, some of them, I don't know what their jobs are, but obviously they've all got other jobs, haven't they? LG makes a really good point where he says the players are professional, which means the play is quicker, and the referees are part-time, which means they might be lacking fitness to keep up with the pace. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that. And I think I mean, okay, the Steiner one, it was a set piece. It wasn't to do with a quick counter-attacking football. It was literally a set piece and the referee was right there. So you can't blame it for that particular decision. But yeah, overall, you're absolutely right. If the players are going to be, you know, flying around the pitch for 90 minutes, the referee's going to run out of energy after like an hour. You can't expect them not to make mistakes. Even if they physically can still move about, mentally, they're not going to be quite as capable as they were, and that's a fact. You know, fitness plays a part in that side of it as well. India Mastiff says all these top WSL games are bringing male refs. We have seen females ref in the Premier League. Yeah, no, we have, absolutely. We have seen females ref in the Premier League, and yeah, I mean, we've had male referees in the WSL, but they're usually the male referees who are lower down the pyramid in the men's game, and that's why they get the women's game. They're not the top male referees, are they? Maybe that's something to think about. Would it be any better when we see what a pig's ear they make in the Premier League? I don't know. But it's got to be a step in the right direction, because at least they are full-time referees and they are better. The referees in the Premier League are better than the refs in the WSL. There's no doubt. They are better refs. John says they're bringing men from the men's VAR so that they're at a higher level and professionals. But yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. The referees who normally do VAR for the men's game in the Premier League, have them referee the women's games, because they're qualified referees anyway. They're maybe not refereeing games on the pitch so much because they're in the studio doing the VAR. Get them on the pitch and referee the women's games. Yeah, I think that would be a step in the right direction. Anything that's going to be improve the quality of the referees is what we need to look at. And it isn't always just technology, is it? It's, you know, it's looking at other ways that we can utilize what we've got and make it better. You know, the players have all improved. The training methods have improved. Diet and fitness has improved. Why can't we do something to improve the referees? Everything else has improved. It's not, you know, it's not impossible that we can get the refereeing standards to improve in the WSL. That's what we need to look at. That is what we should be working on, but they won't. they're going to go the lazy route and go for technology because they haven't got to improve anything. Then they can just use technology. Refs ain't got to do anything. You know, it's like that. The Freedom Arnhem goal is a typical example. If VAR was involved, the flag doesn't go up because VAR is you don't put your flag up until after the action's finished. So the flag stays down. We go to VAR. VAR decide if it's onside or offside, goal or no goal, and that decision's made. And for those things, I kind of think VAR is okay. It takes too long. As you said, we don't stand around for 20 minutes waiting for the decision, but at least with those marginal decisions would be right. But I don't know. Something needs to happen. India Mastiff rightly says that just in cricket you can challenge. Yeah, I think tennis is the same, isn't it? Tennis, you can challenge decisions, so many in a set. You know, it's a good idea. It works in other sports. It can work in football, but I don't think they'll bring it in. We've got a comment there from John 969 said it appears refs can't be really criticised, too protective or immune from criticism. Yeah, no, they are. You can't. Players can't come out and criticise them without getting an FA charge. Managers are the same. I mean, as fans, we've got a bit more scope to talk about it. But, you know, even we can't really be too critical of referees because it's not going to make any difference anyway because we won't be listened to. You said that they're like a protected species, aren't they? They're like one of them wild birds that, you know, they're dying out in the world. You can't do anything against the referee. You just can't. You can't upset them. They can upset us by being terrible at their job, but we can't say anything true about their performance because it might upset them, and then we can't have that, can we? So, yeah, I don't know what the answer is really, but they need to improve it because, you know, which is it is such a shame that we've spent all this time talking about the Chelsea game. We haven't even talked about the game itself because it almost doesn't matter. The game doesn't matter. Yes, Chelsea should have been 3 or 4 up at half time. We were awful. We started that game as though we just didn't know what we were doing, and Chelsea were brilliant, and they should have scored more than they did. And I was so felt fortunate at half time. It was only 1-0 because that game should have been dead and buried. It should have been. And I actually said, I was covering the game on the channel, and I actually said, will Chelsea regret those missed opportunities later in the game? Because they should have had that game wrapped up, and it shouldn't have mattered. All those decisions in the second half shouldn't really have mattered because Chelsea should have been 3-0 up. And luckily for us, they wasn't. And the second half performance was brilliant, and we fully deserved at least a draw, which we got. But none of that seems important anymore, really, with how that second half went. Although I suppose it is important. Because it's has a direct link to the Bayern Munich game on Wednesday as well. In some ways, we can play well for 45 minutes. We can't play well for 90 minutes, and unfortunately, at the top level, you can't do that. But yeah, I mean, you know, we should have got the result in the end against Chelsea, and we didn't. Joseph says, Eden may have already said we need fully trained professional refs before we think about. But yeah, exactly. We did mention that, Joe. Yeah, we just talked about that. Professional referees. We were talking about getting them from the men's game, because at least they're full-time professional referees. They've got the fitness to keep up with the play, and they do have that more experience of that top level of football, whereas I don't think some of these women referees do. They were used to reffing in a game when it was a lot more of an amateur sport, and that's what they've been used to, and they're not able to step up and make that change to professional now. And unless they can do that, we have to say bye. We'll get full-time refs in, but we need to find full-time refs from somewhere because we don't have them really doing in a women's game. We don't have enough of them. That's the problem. But yeah, you're right. We agree with you. Full-time referees is the first step on that route back to finding some sort of, I don't know, because every week you're seeing it's getting worse every season, and it's getting worse every season because the players are getting better, the fitness is getting better, and the referees aren't. The referees are staying at the same level that they were 10 years ago, and the players' level of the game has stepped up 10 times since then, and the referees haven't, and that's the problem. So now there's a massive gap between the standard of the refereeing and the standard of football, and that's not acceptable now at this level of football. What it is now, women's football. You know, we've done such a great job in this country with the Lionesses, with what they've done, and the WSL, and what we've done in this country at grassroots level, and yet we've done nothing at all to improve the standard of the refereeing. And if that game on Saturday last week, if that doesn't make somebody in the FA wake up and think, actually, this can't carry on like this. Game of that importance at the biggest game in the league, and it is, whatever anyone else says or any other team. Arsenal against Chelsea is the biggest game in the WSL, and for it to be it was farcical. Let's be honest, it was farcical, and the players deserve better from both teams. The players, the fans, these 60,000 virtually in the Emirates Stadium, you know, were cheated out of a proper result from a game. Whether we'd won or lost, I don't care. Obviously, I care, but I don't care how we've won or lost, as long as it's fair and it's right and it was just. When you're robbed of points like that, I mean, Chelsea know they were lucky in the end, but then they should have been 3 up anyway, as we said. So maybe a draw was a fair result over the whole game, and maybe we need to accept that and say, fair enough, we probably didn't deserve to win the game over the 90 minutes, but in the second half to score what looked like 3 legitimate goals and end up with just a draw, you do feel cheated, don't you? John says, sometime in the future, refs will be replaced by cameras and AI making the decisions. The refs on the pitch will just be there to stop any fault. No, I agree. I said this when they brought VAR in, that the future for me was the referee on the pitch just literally keeping order. And I think that's always going to happen eventually. It's just how soon we get it. More so in the Premier League. You don't really need a referee on the pitch in the women's game. Generally, yes, you do get the odd incident, but certainly in a men's game, you need someone to keep order. Jog69 says, who do you consider to be really good as a referee, or are they all bad? I mean, in the WSL, I can't think of a good referee. Every week, whoever they are, I don't even look at the referees anymore who they are. It doesn't matter because they're all as bad as each other. You know, there was that one a couple of years ago, did Man City Chelsea game that, you know, she sent off all those players, didn't she? I mean, you know, that's where we are with it. That's how bad they are, and it's not getting any better, is it? Ryan says AI robots will fall over will be making the decision. Well, yeah, probably, yeah. But no, the AI robots will be on the screen reacting to that, and the referee on the pitch, just like we said, stops players from, you know, fighting and maybe organising the substitutions and all that sort of stuff. That should be the way to go. Joe says the referee did the Euros final is very good, but she's not in England. Yeah, I mean, there are 1 or 2 in Europe. Even some of the European referees aren't great, but at the end of the day, the WSL's got to improve. It's got to. The standard has to improve, and otherwise we'll be spending all our time talking about that rather than the football. And the football should be the priority, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about the game. It's all about the teams on the pitch, and that's got completely overshadowed last week by, you know, the 3 officials who just, well, the 2 mainly, the same linesman over the other side and the referee, just got everything wrong. Everything wrong. It was just terrible. Anyway, look, the game itself, I mean, what did you make of Arsenal's performance? Because obviously we know the second half was pretty decent, really good. We took the game to Chelsea. We pinned them back. We scored 3 goals. But that first half was worrying, wasn't it? Because we started that game so badly, like last season's game. We were 2-0 down in 10 minutes. It could have been the same again or worse.
Exactly. It was a blueprint to last year's home game against Chelsea. And I think it was after 2 minutes when Ritincano hit the post. Yeah. And this situation after 2 minutes was similar to the one that led to the goal. And it was always coming on our left side. And we don't seem to have defensive structure or the problem with the holding midfielder, the defensive midfielder. So it's so easy for Chelsea to get through to pass. I think for the goal scored, it was Caitlin standing and not coming back, and it was always on the left side, on Katie McCabe's side. And the goal was very easy to score for Chelsea. You could see it in the build-up and development of the situation. You could see this will be a goal. This will be a goal. And it was. Of course, it was technically very good done from Alicia Thompson, and no chance for Daphne. And then there was another similar situation when Daphne had a brilliant save and the ball hit the crossbar. But we were so open on this, in midfield and on this left side, and so easy for Chelsea to walk through. I don't know what happened, and as I always say, what were our discussions or our preparations in the dressing room or before the game? Why were we not ready for the first whistle, for the first second? Why the first 10-15 minutes was Chelsea all over, and we didn't find in the game? So what was our tactics? What were we discussing before the game? And this is a question you have to put to the manager. We know about the strength of Chelsea, and we know where we have our problems without Leah and without Kimi. but you must have a plan, a tactics, and we didn't seem to have one. They were all over us, and then we reacted. Yeah, but at that moment it could have been 3-0 to Chelsea. First half was terrible. I think after 20 minutes it was the first time that we came in front of their goal, and so after 30 minutes or so it was a little bit better, but still Chelsea was the team. I thought if we see another goal in the first half, it will be for Chelsea. And the last 2-3 minutes I was looking on my watch and thought, please the whistle for halftime. Let's go to halftime with only 1-0 down, please. And it took us I think 10-15 minutes in the second half to really be the better team, to have control over the game. And then last 30 minutes, 25 minutes, this was the Arsenal we want to see. But why did we need 65, 70 minutes to be in the game? I can't understand it. And it was so obvious, so easy for Chelsea to go through, and and you can't rely only on a 35-year-old midfielder. As good as Kim is, and she has a brilliant season so far, but we are relying too much on her. And now she's out. What a surprise. She's normally out in late autumn with an injury, and then in March again with an injury, because we overplayed her. She played nearly every game for 90 minutes. It was quite clear there will be an injury pretty soon. Of course, now it was a knock in the Leicester game, but something would have happened. And then we say, we are missing Leah and a leader in defense. Yes, one player. We are missing one player, and now we are missing a second player, and nothing seems to gale or work in our defense. Yeah, our offense line, we score goals, we create chances, yes, but we are so open in defense. I think Lotta had a very good game. Yeah, and where is our midfield? Yeah, Mariana is not a number 6, a holding midfielder. You can't play her as a number 6. You take away all her strength or what she could bring for the team if you play her there. And she loses a lot of balls in midfield. We know this from last season when she plays as a number 10. Losing a ball, not good, but you can win the ball back. If she loses as a number 6, the ball, it creates chaos in the defense. So yeah, I was disappointed with our performance in the first half. The reaction in the second half was good, but this overall, over 90 minutes, it's not good enough if you want to compete for the title.
No, absolutely, yeah. I mean, in a game that we knew going into the game, realistically, we had to win to start as badly as we did. When even Renee came out after the game and said, "We know Chelsea start fast. They start fast every game. They score a lot of early goals." So we knew that was going to happen. So to start like that was just, what are we doing? We knew as fans that they were going to start like that. Why wasn't we more switched on from the beginning? I don't know. And in the end, that's cost us that game, because we said last week the first goal in that game was going to be massive. If Chelsea scored first, it was going to be really tough. And yes, the response was great second half. We have to say that we were good second half. We created lots of opportunities. We know we scored some goals, but that was better. But yeah, you're right. You're never going to win a league title if you can only play for 45 minutes or 35 minutes. It's not enough. You've got to be able to do it for most of a game. You've got to be able to, when you're dominant, you've got to score your chances. And when you're not dominant and the other team are on top, you've got to defend better. We got ripped open in that game so many times. And it was just down to really a little bit of bad finishing from Chelsea, a couple of good saves from Daphne and goal as well, obviously, that kept us in that game. And, by rights, it should have been over. And that's not good enough in a game like that of that importance. And I think that shows maybe where we are in reality. We're not at Chelsea's level. We're not. And this season so far, we've not even been at Man United and Man City's level, really. And that's not good enough for Arsenal. It's not good enough. And, if we'd beaten Chelsea, yes, it would have been great, 2 points behind, title back on. But it wouldn't really have changed anything overall. We're still not really, we haven't really moved on from where we were last season or the season before. I don't think we're any better than we were. We're probably not really worse. We're about the same as we were 2 or 3 seasons ago. And it wasn't good enough then. What makes it good enough now? Because we managed to get one result in a cup final. really, against the greatest team at the moment in the world, and we managed to beat them in a one-off game. Does that change anything in overall where we are? Because it doesn't. I don't think it is. I haven't seen anything this season that suggests we've improved at all from last season or the season before. We haven't. We're exactly the same. We still concede too many stupid goals. We still only play in spells of games. We can't sustain a performance for more than maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes in a game. That's about the most that we ever get. And that's been the same for 2 years. The problem's worse now because of our midfield problem. We've got a massive big hole there that hasn't been filled and doesn't look like it's going to be able to be filled until at least January. And even with that player that comes in maybe in January, I still don't think overall we're better than we were 2 years ago when Jonas was getting loads of stick for not being good enough. We're no better now, really. We had a couple of decent games in Europe last season, and that's clouded everything. Everybody's now, well, that's all right then. We've done that now. But yeah, that was last season. We're no better, and I think that's the problem. That is the problem that we've got. Joe says, can I just say, can Arsenal stop hanging on to players who should be cleared out? Lots of Ruben Moy comes to mind. She's a human version of Win. I think Lots had a decent game against Chelsea, but is she good enough overall to move us forward? No, probably not, along with a few others. You're right. I kind of agree with you, but that's where we are. Ryan says, I agree. We have to look at some players that are not up to Arsenal standards anymore and strengthen the squad. Yeah, exactly. It's the only way you improve, isn't it? LG says, the problem is our squad hasn't changed much the last few years, and teams have enough data and analytics to prepare against us. Yeah, you're right. I agree. John says there, the owners saw the Champions League win and thought this was a team good enough to go again this year and challenge for the league and the Champions League. The owners have enough info now to make a big push in next transfer windows. Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen personally. But anyway, I mean, look, I think we know now the WSL title's gone. 5 points behind Chelsea is too many at this point in the season. It is. You know, people say, oh, 5 points is nothing. It's 2 games. It is. But Chelsea would need to drop all those points and we'd have to keep winning and winning and winning. And neither of those 2 things are very likely. Let's be honest. So let's be realistic. The title's gone. Again, another season without winning the league. And we'll talk about the Champions League now because that didn't exactly go to plan either, did it? I mean, this was basically the Chelsea game in reverse. A brilliant start, a brilliant first half, and then a quite disgustingly bad second half that I can't even explain. I mean, once again, it's 2 different Arsenal teams. It's the good Arsenal team for part of the game, and then it's an awful Arsenal team for the other part of the game. And this has been happening all through the season. I mean, that first half, to be fair, I was sitting there and I was absolutely amazed at how well we played. I thought we were brilliant in that first half. We absolutely dominated the game. We should have maybe been more than 2 up in actual fact. You know, the way we play, we hit the crossbar, you know, and I thought the way we pressed, I thought Stina was so key in that as well. The way she forced mistakes from the Bayern Munich defence, her pressing, and everybody. It wasn't just her, but she was leading it from the front. And I just thought the whole performance was very similar to the second half against Chelsea. We carried that on. You think this is good. This is what we want to see. Build on those positives. At half time, I'm thinking, wow, this is another Leon from a couple of years ago. That sort of performance. That's what I was thinking. Or, you know, from last season in the semi-final. And then we come out in the second half and, you know, what we saw was a manager for Bayern Munich who figured out the problems and came up with solutions. And you had our manager, when it started going against us in the second half, that didn't have a clue what to do, how to deal with the different problems that we faced in the second half. And she couldn't deal with it. She did not have a clue what she was doing. And that was the difference for me. A manager that actually knows what... The first half, Bayern Munich were terrible. We were good, but they were bad, really bad. But look at the second half. And you could say that happened for us against Chelsea, because the first half we were terrible, second half we were better. But I don't know. For me, when things went wrong in that second half, Renee made the wrong substitutions, didn't seem to know what to do to stem the tide. I knew it. Well, it was still 2-0. I was saying at the time, if Bayern score, we're in trouble, because you just felt that if Bayern got a goal back, we were going to be in real trouble. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as they scored, I'm thinking this could be a difficult half an hour at the end. And of course, it was a very difficult half an hour. I mean, obviously, again, Andreas, you was in the stadium. I mean, the first half was brilliant. Kind of kind of thought in the first half at all. I thought we were magnificent. Only we didn't score as many goals as we maybe should have done. But the contrast in the second half, it was almost like the players didn't know what they were doing. We couldn't pass to each other. We didn't press like we had been. It was just, what do you think went wrong?
Yeah, first of all, the first half was the best half for a very long time I saw from us. It was nearly perfect football from us. I mean, we controlled everything. Bayern couldn't go near our box. We won every ball back in midfield. We controlled everything. We created chances. It was just brilliant to see. And that we were only 2-0 up was a joke at halftime. I was sitting in the Arsenal away section, but I texted with my Munich friends, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we would accept the 4-0 at halftime." Yes, you're right. And yeah, it was so good. It was not the question who is going to win this game, but yeah, how will be the score? How many goals will Arsenal score in the end? It was a perfect first half, and still, I think, the beginning of the second half was okay. We still dominated, and then Bayern made one change. They brought Pernille Harder on. I think this was a mistake from Jose Barcala, from the Bayern manager, that he didn't start Pernille Harder. And after 60 minutes, I just checked it, 95th minute, Renee made the usual subs, as she always does. It's like she has a plan, and they're on her plan is standing a 60 minutes, make 2 changes, take Stina off, and take Caitlin off. And she did. And yeah, and this also took away the fluidity from our game. Why making subs when you're 2-0 up, everything's working, and you take 2 players off? Why? If Bayern scores one and the momentum changes, okay, then you have to react. But not when you're 2-0 up, and your plan you have on your laptop or on your notes says 60 minutes you have to make changes. No, don't make changes. React to the game. And it was so good. We were still 65 minutes. We were 2-0 up, and there was no sign that we could lose this game. And then there was one missed pass or lost ball from Mariana in midfield. And when you watch the scene back, there is Clara Bull, and 5 Arsenal players are around her. And I think 3 are trying to chase Clara Bull. And then she plays the pass to Alara, the number 14, and nobody from us was near Alara. Of course, she made it very good in the 1-versus-1 against Daphne. It's a situation she had time to think. I think Stina wouldn't have scored this goal, but Alara made it very good. And in this moment, the momentum changed totally. It was not Arsenal 2-1 up, and if we scored the third, then everything is back to normal again. No, it was just, can we hold on this 2-1 or at least take 1 point? This was my thought after Bayern had scored. And we had no clue what to do against Pernille Harder. She was all over, and nobody seemed to be responsible for her. So another fault to the manager. She reacted. She must see this. Okay, Bayern brings a very good player, and we can't control her. What to do? Then Bayern scores. You see the momentum changes. Why not defending the 2-1? And if you want to make other change, we made 2 more changes in the 75th minute, when we were still 2-1 up. Then why not bringing on Laia Codina and say, let's defend the 2-1? But she made subs in the 75th minute. Yeah, and nothing changed for us. Bayern was all over, and of course it was a world-class goal from Harder, this equalizer, and no chance to defend this situation. But I think the second goal was the situation when our defense was nearly up to the middle line, and only Emily Fox was 3 meters behind and made Harder onside. So there is conversation missing. There is no leader in the team, and once again, we have holes in our defense in the in defending part of the midfield. We're missing Kim. Yeah, of course. But I said it before, we should have a replacement for her. She's out injured, then another holding midfielder comes in and plays, then organizes the defense. Nothing. And it was after the equalizer, I said to the guy near me, we're going to lose 3-2. And it was a feeling. And it took until the 86th minute. You could check your watch and say, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe we'll get away with a draw. But after this first half, after the first 65 minutes, it is ridiculous that you would be happy to go out with a draw in this game and be happy with this. And of course, it was a corner. We brought the ball away from our box, and then another cross from Bull, who was responsible for Gladys Vigosdottir. I said it last week. Their center backs are so dangerous in the box and in offensive situations after crosses or corners. Yeah, Vigosdottir, nobody was there, and she reacted quicker than Steph or Lotta, and 3-2. And I think if the game would have continued for another 10 minutes, then Bayern would have scored a fourth or fifth like last season. It was a total collapse. In 19 minutes, conceding 3 goals in a game that you have totally dominated, played perfect football, and then 19 minutes conceding 3. I have no explanation for this collapse, and there was no reaction from the manager, from the staff. The players on the pitch should have find the solutions, but they don't find solutions as they have no leader on the pitch. It's so disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it was that second half. You're right, and I think that leadership is quite important, because we didn't. That was one of the big key things that went wrong. We didn't have a leader on the pitch to help us get through that difficult point. I mean, I knew if Bayern scored, and if they scored early enough in that second half, we were in trouble. You could just see it. You could see it happening. The control of the game that we had completely disappeared. And yes, the substitutions, I agree with. They were just they looked as though they were pre-planned substitutions before the game had even started. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't decide what substitutions you're going to make, because you don't know how the game's going to be, what you need on the pitch. And unfortunately, Renee took off all with what we needed on the pitch to get us through that period. And when the game started going against us, we couldn't get it back because she'd made the wrong substitutions when she didn't need to. Yes, okay, 2-0. I mean, I've criticised Mikel Arteta lots and lots and lots of times over the last few years, but the one thing that he's good at, and the one thing his team are good at, is defending leads. He makes the right substitutions to defend the lead. It might sometimes not be pretty to watch. He'll bring on 4 defenders when we're 2-1 up away from home and we win 2-1. He's very, very good at that. And unfortunately, Renee isn't at all. She's completely opposite. She just can't deal with that. We cannot defend the lead. I'm always worried, particularly when we're away from home, if we're winning by 1 goal late in the game, because we don't seem to know how to deal with that. We don't make the substitutions to be able to deal with it. Yeah, you could say we maybe haven't got the players on the bench to be able to deal with it. I don't know. But you're right. Leia Cadena could have come on a lot earlier when it was 2-1 to try to see that game out, switch to 3 at the back, do something to counter what was happening. Because we could all see it. I'm sure you saw it in the stadium. We could see it watching on the telly. We knew what was going to happen. I knew as soon as Bayern scored, we weren't going to win that game. I was hoping we could at least hang on for the draw, which wouldn't have been a disaster, because we mentioned last week a draw in a Bayern away game would be a decent result. We'll take that, because every other time we've played there, we've lost. So we would have took a draw. And that looked like it was always going to be the best we could get as soon as Bayern scored. And of course, once the second goal went in, you were right. We all felt the same. It looked like we were going to lose that game, and we did. And I have to say, as good as Emily Fox is, if you actually look at most of the goals we concede, quite often she makes a mistake. She's either in the wrong place, she's either too far forward and hasn't got herself back quickly enough. She gets the wrong side of her attacker. It was her that wasn't close enough to Vigosdottir for the goal. She reacted too slowly, and she does that a lot. If you watch, I look at, particularly recently, I've been looking at the goals we're conceding and thinking, how can we change it? And unfortunately, as much as I love Emily Fox, I think she's a great player, she's at fault so many times for goals we concede because she just switches off. She switches off time and time again. And that's what happened for that winning goal. You know, she was too slow to react. And that's results in a goal. And it's, you know, she played the Chelsea player onside for the goal on Saturday. She was too deep. She's done that a few times as well. It may well have been her that was playing for the first goal. It was the when Alara, she was onside. I'm sure it was Emily Fox that was playing her on there as well. And she does that a lot. She doesn't switch on. She's not focused defensively. And unfortunately, it's starting to cost us goals now. We don't have another right back, so we've got no other choice because we got rid of Laura, who was actually doing a decent job before she got injured. But yeah, I kind of feel that Emily Fox needs to be looked at defensively. Going forward, she takes the ball forward. She got a great goal. Of course she did against Bayern. Brilliant. Gets herself forward. But that's not her main job. Her main job is as the defender. And that's where she's making too many mistakes now. That's becoming costly. And we need to sort that out. We do need to sort it out. Maybe Taylor Hines should have a run there right back. She's done all right when she's come across and played there a little bit, a few minutes in games, but I don't know. Joseph said, do you think Hines and Smith were the wrong signings? I don't think they're the wrong signings. There just wasn't enough. We needed more. They're okay. Smith's a decent player when she's fit. I think Taylor Hines is a good player, but that wasn't enough. Let's not blame them and say they're not good enough. They are. They just wasn't enough with just those two signings. We needed more. You know, we needed 3 or 4 more, 2 or 3 more at least, and we didn't get the signs we needed. So it makes it look as though it wasn't a good window. It's not a good window because of them. It's not a good window because of what we didn't get, as opposed to what we did. John says a lot of people moaned about Mead, but she won a Player of the Month in October and deserved it. So she will need replacing at some point, but she's doing everything she can to make sure that's not so. No, I agree. She's been playing well this season, Beth Mead. She's been playing pretty well this season. I've got no problem with her. Yes, long term, she will need replacing, but at the moment, she's playing well. I've got no issues with her at all. Joe says, do you think Renee makes subs for the sake of it? Yeah, she seemed to against Bayern. Why did we make the subs when we did? There was no need to. There was no need to at that time to make the changes that you make. When you tune it up, make defensive changes if you want to shore it up. Get a defensive midfielder on at 2-0. But we didn't. She just made like for like changes in the front three, which is what she does every single game. When you tune it up, you don't need to do that. We didn't need to change the forwards around. We needed to be more solid in midfield because we were starting to get overrun, and we needed to be stronger at the back. Bring on Leia Cadena, bring on Kyra Cooney-Cross at 60 minutes maybe, and maybe we win that game. That is naive. The words you've put there, I'd agree. I think that was naive from Renee. LG says the worst thing is it was painfully obvious to me when we were tuning up at half time. It was going to unfold like it did in the second half. Yeah, I didn't think it would go quite as badly wrong as it did, but I knew the second half would be totally different, and I knew Bayern would play better, and I knew we would have a much tougher game, but I still expected us to see it out and win, but unfortunately we didn't. Joe says Bayern didn't work us out first half and absolutely did second half, and we couldn't adapt. Yeah, that's a good word. We didn't adapt. That's exactly right. Poor subs, lack of intelligence from players. Yeah, a bit of both. John says, I missed the game. Well, you wasn't the only one. It seemed like a few of the players missed the second half anyway. Ryan says, I can't see why Stina gets taken off. It must affect her confidence. Yeah, I was surprised she got taken off in this particular game because I thought her pressing was really key in that first half to how well we played. She was leading from, I mean, she does anyway when she plays. That's her job, is to lead from the front. She closes down and then it pushes a press in behind her. And as soon as they took her off, we stopped pressing. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen to the same degree, and they started to get on top. LG says, I saw this was the only second time ever Arsenal women lost the game after being 2-0 up. The first time being December. Is that true? Is it only the second time we've ever lost from being 2-0? That can't be right. Surely that's happened more times than that, hasn't it? Is that really only the second time that's ever happened? Wow, that's amazing if it's true. That's an amazing stat, actually. LG says, it seems like the subs are always pre-planned no matter the game state, and that shows lack of game management. Yep. As much as we cuss Jonas, at least he always tried to adapt. No, I agree. I was always defending Jonas, or trying to. It got difficult towards the end. I agree. But yeah, I do think overall Jonas was a pretty good manager. And people were saying the other day, oh well, last season we lost 5-2 against Bayern Munich. Yes, but this could have been the same, really. It wasn't far away from being the same. In fact, last season's game was very similar. We played well in the first half last season, didn't we? I think we were leading. Was it one? I think we scored the first goal. Wasn't it Mariona put 1-0 up? And, we played well in the first half last year. And in the second half, it all fell apart. Exactly the same. For me, there's no difference. This season, there's no difference to last season at all, really. And this game was another example of that. Almost exactly. It was a replay of that game almost. The goals were different and it ended up the final score, but Joe says Fox is probably knackered. Maybe she is. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's knackered. But even so, whatever the reason, the coaching staff should know this. They should know that she's not at her best. So do something about it. Don't just leave her on the pitch to make mistakes and cost us goals. But yeah, maybe she's tired. I'm prepared to give her the benefit of the doubt because she's a great player. But we can't ignore the mistakes that she's making. That's proving costly at the minute. LG says Hines and Smith are not the problem. The problem was not addressing crucial positions in the summer, mostly defensive midfield. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We signed mostly floor raisers, but not ceiling raisers. Yeah, no, exactly. That's a very good point, actually. LG says, you're right, Rich. I've noticed that most of the goals we concede happens at Fox's side, and Clara Ball absolutely destroyed. She did, yeah. I mean, she played well, Clara Ball, to be fair. She's a great player, but yeah, she really got exposed in that second half. But I think this has been a case anyway. Most goals are coming from her mistakes. She's either playing players on side or she's switching off at the crucial moment. But anyway, Joe says the average age of our starting 11 is 27, and that's dragged down by Smith. Chelsea's is 25.5, and Bronze drags it out quite a bit. Well, yeah, that's. But Chelsea have had a big turnover of players, haven't they? We haven't really. The core of our squad, as we said before, the core of our squad hasn't really changed much, has it? We've still got Kim Little, who's captain, and she's been here for 10, 12 years. We've still got Leah, not that Leah Williamson should be ready to go, but she's been at the club for a long time. Beth Mead's been at the club for a long time. Even some of the more newer signings, if you like, Caitlin Ford's been at the club for a long time. Steph Catley's been at the club for a long time. I'm not saying I think continuity is a good thing to have, but ultimately you've got to freshen your squad up all the time. You've got to keep freshening up with younger players, and you've got to move players on at the right time, which is what we said before that Chelsea have done well. They've moved on players at the right time. Yes, they've got Lucy Bronze, who maybe for me, every time I see her play for Chelsea, she looks like she's past it, but then she plays for England and you think, well, okay, maybe she can still do it. So I don't know, but yeah, we do need to freshen up the squad. Absolutely we do. And yeah, maybe the average age needs to be looked at. I mean, I think maybe we try and we sign, obviously, Olivia Smith, who's a bit younger. Unfortunately, two of our young players are going to be out all for the rest of the season now with ACL injuries, which hasn't helped. But yeah, it's something we need to look at long term, definitely. And unfortunately, the weaknesses in the squad and in the team and maybe in the coaching staff are now becoming more and more obvious every week now, every game. And I say, I don't see any difference from 2 years ago. I don't see any difference at all in the way we play, in the results, the way the substitutions. I don't know. I think do you think we've improved from 2 years ago, Andreas? In reality, and yes, okay, we won the Champions League and that's fantastic. But overall, do you think we've improved the way that we play now? Do you think it's better than we were playing 2 years ago? Do you think the results have improved from 2 years ago, or do you think it's pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same, and the problem is there are a lot of players who were signed by Joe Montemurro. And after Joe was Jonas and now Renee, and we still have the core of the squad that was the same under Joe Montemurro. And yeah, we love these players that are so long serving for the club. Everything okay, but just look again at Chelsea. They are ruthless in their squad. They say, oh, we have to change something. We have to move on. A player like Fran Kirby, she was 30 when she was given not a new contract, or Maren Mjelde, and they sent them away. What's with Sam Kerr? She's back from injury, but yeah, of course, she played in the Champions League in St. Pölten last Tuesday. But the other games, she's sitting on the bench. She's coming on for 10 minutes. They are playing Macario or Bill Jones or now Alicia Thompson. They bring on fresh blood. And when you have a big success like we had in summer, then it's essential that you bring fresh blood to this team and change something. And for me, Katie McCabe is over her peak. I know she's a fan favorite and she can be important, But in this season, I haven't seen a good performance from her. As you said, Emily Fox, she's overplayed. Always playing 90 minutes. The same was with Kim Little, always 90 minutes on the pitch, always in the starting 11. That's also the problem. There's no competition in the squad for the starting 11. It's the same players starting every game, and now the same substitutes are made at the same time in every game. So it's easy for our opponents to find out what Arsenal team are we expecting, who will start, we know, what will they play, and then after 65 minutes, 60 minutes, they will make 2 changes. They will take Stina Blackstenius off, or if Frida Manum is starting, they will take Frida Manum off and bring Stina. They know everything. It's decoded, our system, and that's a problem. And Renee and the coaching staff is still the same as it was under Jonas, and not much has changed. And a lot was with the Champions League winning. Everybody was thinking, we are flying and everything is okay. No, it's not okay. We missed the chance to bring fresh blood, to change the squad, to bring new players. It's not against Taylor Hines or Chloe Kelly or Olivia Smith. These were good signings, but not enough, and not in the positions we needed the most. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I don't really doubt about that. Ryan says, Chelsea are ruthless. They don't make a lot of friends. No, they don't.
Yeah.
But it's professional sport. Nice guys finish last. You've got to be ruthless if you want to be successful. LG says, we need Stanway and Royce at the base of our midfield. They're likely to leave at the end of the season. Maybe we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? I mean, LG just backs up what Andreas just said there. 8 players remain from the Joe Montemurro era, and only 3 left from Chelsea during that same period. That says a lot. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly does. You're right. That is one of the biggest problems, and we do need to get rid of the sentimentality from players that we love, and restart rebuilding the squad. And it needs to be done. It should have been done last summer after the Champions League. Should have been the time to do it. That should have been the time to do it. Start overhauling the squad. That's what we need to do. And we haven't really. And we're just plodding on the same old again. Another season where we're going to probably end up second or third. We probably will. We probably do okay in one of the other cup competitions. We might get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and it'll be an okay season. We might win the League Cup again. And it'll be an okay season again for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th season in a row. Okay season. It's not enough. It's not good enough. Like you said, Joe Montemurro, it's no different to the last couple of seasons of Joe Montemurro being there. It's no different from all Jonas's time there. And now we're into, like you said, the 3rd manager, and we haven't moved on. We haven't grown. We haven't moved forward. And yes, and again, I go back to Arteta. I've criticised him, but I will admit that the team's evolved. That he's moved them forward. I don't like the way we play particularly, but you've got to say that's what he's done. And we haven't. The women's team hasn't moved forward in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We're no further forward. We won some cups along the way. We won the biggest cup of all, but when you look at it, we haven't really moved forward, have we? We haven't. And it's the same. It's the same old every week. And you're right. Teams know what we're going to do. We know what we're going to do. Other managers know what we're going to do. And we've become quite predictable. And yes, when it all clicks and we can play well 10, 15, 20-minute spells in games, sometimes we're brilliant. We blow teams away. And we're still capable of doing that because we've got the quality players to do it. But that's not enough. Over a season, that's not enough. It isn't, and it's proved to be the case over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be the case again this season. Joe says we haven't improved. Catley, Ford, McCabe, Little, Mead. We're not going to continue to improve. The best days are behind. Exactly, yeah. If you want to improve, you've got to replace your players with better players, and that's how you move forward. And that's what Chelsea have done. That's what Man City have done. Other teams are doing it in Europe as well. That's how Lyon have kept at the top of their game. They just keep rotating, like moving the squad about, get rid of players, bring better ones in. We don't do that. We keep, bring a few in, but they never really establish themselves and they go again because they can't get into that little clique of players. They don't get in the team. Because, look at Jenna Niceman as a typical example. We bring a player in, we don't use her. Do you know what I mean? And this happens too many times. We don't use the players we bring in enough because we keep with the same old year after year after year. And that's why we're in the position that we're in. And, I think it was LG said it before about we've got 5 days to save our season, and in a way, it's difficult to disagree with that because we've got 2 more big games to come, and if the results of these 2 games don't go well, then it could be a really difficult time for Renee and everybody. And the last thing you want after the week we've just had is a North London derby away from home, which against a Tottenham team that have started the season well. You have to say they're doing well. They're playing well this season, and of course they did beat us in a pre-season friendly as well. So it's not the best. Not the best. This game hasn't come along at the best time. Let's be honest, it hasn't. It's it couldn't have been a worse time in many ways. And obviously, if we don't win this game, or heaven forbid we lose, the pressure then on everybody is going to be really huge, isn't it? The fact it's another defeat anyway, but the fact it's the North London derby coming off the back of the Bayern Munich game. If you remember last season, we lost badly in Bayern Munich. We then immediately lost to Chelsea in another London derby, and that was the end of Jonas. Are we going to see? We're saying things repeating. Is it going to be repeated again if we lose to Tottenham? On the back of where we are at the minute, where we are in the WSL, how things are going in Europe. I mean, I don't think it's quite that point yet for Renee. Even if we did lose on Sunday, I still don't think it's at that point yet. But it's certainly going to bring that point a lot closer, isn't it? If we do, I mean, we can't afford to lose, and we're not going to lose to Spurs, are we, Andreas? We're not. Are we? Convince me we're not.
I think it's good that the next game is the North London derby because there are players in our squad. They know how important this game is, and nobody in the team will want to lose against Tottenham. This would be the worst result for long-serving players. And but I agree, if we lose to Spurs and to Real Madrid, then it's international break, and something could happen on the manager position. The fact is, Renee has only a contract until end of the season, and right now nobody wants to extend her contract or wants her to resign. So it's on the edge with her position, and we should at least have a win against Spurs and at least a draw against Madrid. Better win to keep our chances alive. For the Spurs game, I was Sunday at Bromley, Hayes Lane, for the game London City Lionesses versus Spurs. And after this game, I was so confident that we are going to win against Spurs. It was nothing what they showed there. They scored due to a penalty, which was debatable. I don't know whether it was really a foul or a penalty, and a brilliant free kick. But that was all. Spurs were not creating anything. And if a team like London City scores 4 goals against them, like our Loney scored 2 goals. What's her name? Oh, I'm sorry. We have a Loney at London City. She called Layla Harbert or?
Oh, Layla Harbert, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, London City deserved to win, and they scored 4 goals against Spurs. I said, if they can score 4, they can put 4 behind them. Why shouldn't we be able to score 2 or 3 against Spurs? We have the better squad than London City, and they were the better team. They dominated Spurs and deserved to win. So I was disappointed from Spurs, but I also remember the preseason game when they scored 4 goals at Meadow Park against us. So it's a thing of confidence, but on the other side, Spurs are not coming with big confidence after their loss at LCL. It's an important game. We have the better team. We should win there. It's nearly a last chance to stay in competition for the 3rd place. For me, the league title is gone. It will be between Man City and Chelsea. And the 3rd place will be Man United, or hopefully we are still competing with them. But losing against Spurs would put us back on 5th position with United and Spurs above us. Then everything's over. So not allowed to lose, but yeah, we have the better team. And if we bring the two halves from Chelsea and Bayern Munich together, then we should be 90 minutes dominating and win comfortably. But yeah, it's a question of confidence, or yeah, how are we going out there? Are we concentrated? Do we believe in us? And yeah, and which lineup will Renee choose? Will she stay with the lineup from the last two games and with her predictable stuff? It won't be too easy, but I'm still confident that we should win there because we have the better team. Let's believe in this.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a better team. We know we have a better team, but that doesn't always translate itself on the pitch. I mean, football's a funny game, and yes, you know, Spurs obviously lost badly, conceded a lot of goals last week, but in a way, maybe that's is going to help them going into this game because they know they're going to have to be better against Arsenal. We know we have to be better against them than we were against Benfica when we were in the first half against Chelsea. And you're right. If we was to play the second half against Chelsea and the first half of Benfica, if that's the 90 minutes against Spurs, we probably win 4-0. We probably do. But if it's the first half against Chelsea and the second half against Bayern, then who knows what might happen? We'll probably lose. We would probably lose because Spurs are, they're not a bad side anymore. They're a lot better than they were a few years ago. So, yeah, it's not knowing what Arsenal team we're going to get. Are we going to get the good Arsenal team or the bad Arsenal team? We've seen it all. And that's going to be where it's going to probably come down to on the day. If we get half decent Arsenal team, we should get a result. Of course we should. We've got better players than them. We know that. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. LG says it's Freya Godfrey. That's who it is, Freya Godfrey. Oh, she signed permanently, did she? Oh, right, okay. Well, anyway, there you go. But, yeah. I thought she was on loan, actually. Joe says Arsenal men slapped a lot of money on the table this summer. The club has to commit to a proportionately similar amount for the women in the next two windows. Yeah, you're right. We do exactly. Yeah, I mean, we did spend £1 million on Olivia Smith, and maybe that's all. Maybe that's all the money gone. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. If we don't, we're in trouble. John says, yeah, Spurs. It's going to be a very difficult game. They have won 4 or 5 at home, only lost to City. We've not done anything great away, just Benfica and Lower. So yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah. That's true. They've got a good home record. Our away record it hasn't been great yet. We did score a few against Leicester in our last away game, which was a good performance. But obviously, Spurs are better than Leicester, so it's going to be tougher, isn't it? LG says, "What the hell is happening to Chloe Kelly? Who knows? Who knows what's happening?" You're right. It's a mystery. Joe says, "Freya Godfrey too for London." Yeah, it's Freya Godfrey. That's right. Yeah. I think Leia Harbert's gone somewhere else. Actually, thinking about it, hasn't she?
USA. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, yeah, he's a former Arsenal player, of course. So I'm sure she enjoyed the 2 goals against Spurs. Hopefully, a current Arsenal player can score 2 against Spurs on Sunday, which would be nice. I mean, when you score prediction, really, it is difficult to know what Arsenal team we're going to get, I suppose. But what do you think, Andreas? What's your prediction for Sunday? Are we going to get the win? Of course we are, aren't we? Surely.
I want to be optimistic, and I say we will be concentrated, and we will win 2-0. So it's must win, and the players will want to turn it around, will be concentrated, and so I say 2-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I must admit. Yeah, I kind of feel something like that. Maybe a 3-1. I can see us maybe conceding a daft goal somewhere. But it's going to be a difficult game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Spurs are not the Spurs they were a few years ago when we knew we'd beat them no matter what happened, because they're not like that anymore. They're a decent team. They can get results against most teams in the league now. So we're going to have to be focused. We're going to have to be concentrated, and we are going to have to obviously, take our chances and defend properly. But I'm optimistic. I do think that I think that second half against Bayern would have hurt the team a lot. You could see, looking at the players on the pitch at the end of the game when they were walking around, they looked angry and upset, and rightly so, because it wasn't a very good performance. And I think that they can use that as fuel for the game on Sunday away at Tottenham. It's it's the North London derby. Yes, I still think in the women's team, the Chelsea game is bigger than Spurs. In the men's game, it isn't. The Tottenham game is always a bigger one, but I think in the women's game, it's not quite at that level. But it's still a massive game. You can't lose to Tottenham ever. In Tiddlywinks, we can't lose to them, so we can't lose to them in this game on Sunday. So I'm going to say yes. I think we'll win. I'm gonna go 3-1. I do think we'll probably concede, but hopefully we'll be 2-0 up or something, 3-0 up, and they get a late goal or something, and we'll win. And hopefully that can at least, I don't know, is that long term going to make a massive difference? Probably not, but at least it puts us right back in that top 3 race again, doesn't it? And it gets us further away from Tottenham, who have been above us most of the season until last weekend. So that's what we need to do, and let's hope that we do. And let's see where we go. LG says we played 5 big games this season: Man United, City, Lyon, Chelsea, and Bayern. And we won a total of 0. Yeah, that's true, actually. 0-0 against Man United, lost 3-2 to City, lost 2-1 to Lyon, drew with Chelsea, lost to Bayern. Yeah, wow, that's not good, is it? That is not good, is it? It's all very well beating Leicester and beating London City Lionesses and beating West Ham, but yeah, it's those big games that define how you do as a season. That isn't good enough, is it? To not win one of them games. Okay, yes, Man United was away, Man City was away, Bayern was away. Lyon and Chelsea both at home. We should have won one of them games at least, shouldn't we? Let's be honest. I mean, City, we conceded a late goal. Bayern Munich, we conceded a late goal to lose. Man United, we didn't really get going. Yeah, no, that's bad, actually. That is bad, and that shows where we are, I think. John says 3-2 to us, holding on at the grim death at the end again. Yeah, well, that might well be the case. As long as we win, I suppose. As long as we win. LG says they're from the 8 players from the Montemuro era: Zinsberger, Williamson, Lotta, Catley, McCabe, Little, Mead and Ford. Who do you think should be, well, most of them really. I'd keep Leah Williamson, obviously. I'd probably, for the time being, I'd keep Beth and Caitlin as well. I'd probably keep Steph Catley for now as well. The rest of them, I wouldn't be bothered if we didn't keep them, to be honest. I think that their age and where their performances have been, they're not getting better. We need to replace them and try and, we have sort of with Zinsberger. We've kind of moved on from him a bit anyway. But yeah, I would say Leah, Steph Catley, Beth and Caitlin for maybe another year, and then maybe look at replacing them as well. What about you, Andreas? Out of all of those there, who would you want to keep and who should we look at replacing?
I would keep, of course, Leah Williamson and Lotta. She was not the problem in the last games.
No.
Yeah, and for another season, maybe Steph Catley, but that's it. Sorry, Kim is 35, and it's obvious that Meadow, Caitlin, Katie McCabe are over their peak. I'm sorry. We should have moved on in the last transfer windows. Of course, you can't say 8 players have to go at the end of the season and should be replaced by 8 or 9 new. Then you can throw away next season. So it's a process. You have to replace 2-3 players in every transfer window. That's what others do, and we miss this. But it's a problem. And but anyway, let's at least finish the first half of the season now with wins, with successful games, and let's start on Sunday. I don't want to lose against Spurs. This would be terrible.
No, it would be terrible. Yeah. Joe's gone for a 2-1. Yeah, we'll take a 2-1 again. I suppose we will. Yeah, of course it's a win. We'll take it, but let's hope it's a little bit more comfortable. Joe, so I think Kelly is injured or coming back from one. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening with her. When she's playing, she doesn't look the same as she did before. She's not starting many games at all. No, she's not starting any games at all. You tend to think that means she's injured, but I don't know. You've got my worry is, and I love Chloe Kelly, and I think she's a great player, but you've got to think of yourself. She had issues at Man City. It all went wrong for her there for whatever reason. Is it individual people that she seems to not get on with? Could the same happen again? I don't know. She doesn't seem happy at the moment. She doesn't. It seems like something's going on. Is it? Let's hope it's just an injury, and injuries get better, and then that's fine. If it's more than that, then it could be a problem. But let's hope not. Josie, it's upsetting that we've gone from we'll win the league, so let's hope we qualify for the Champions League. Well, exactly, yeah. But that's happened every single season, hasn't it? For God knows how long now. You know, after 6, 7, 8, 9 games, the title's gone, and it's just let's get in the top 3. Let's just make sure we do that. That's what I mean. Nothing's changed. It's the same. And I don't know. We need a change. We do need a change, and whether it's a change of manager, whether it's a change of majority of the players in the squad, a turnover, I don't know exactly what it is. Something needs to change because we haven't moved. We haven't moved on from Joe, as we've said, really, have we? So many things are the same, and that wasn't good enough then. At the time, we all said it. Why is it now almost good enough when it's no different? I don't know. I can't get my head around it. But anyway, we're going to beat Spurs because it's Spurs and we have to beat them, and we will because that's just the way it is. So we're going to beat Spurs, and of course that will then give us a little bit of confidence going into another, what is now an even bigger Champions League game after the Bayern Munich defeat. We've lost 2 out of our first 3 games. We can't afford to lose another one. Now, of course, we played Real Madrid last season, as we know, and it was 2 very, very different games, different circumstances. Of course, the away game was on that terrible, terrible pitch. And, of course, we lost that game badly, 2-0. And it was just an awful night, which circumstances maybe conspired to that. But then, of course, contrast that with the second game at the Emirates where, you know, we scored those 3 goals in the second half quite brilliantly. Now, this game, of course, is at Meadow Park, which is different, you know. Whether that's more beneficial to us or not, I'm not 100% sure. Last year, obviously, we were brilliant against Real Madrid at home. But I'm slightly concerned about this game. I've got to be honest. I think being the Champions League holders, you've got a target on your back anyway. And we're not quite finding our flow. We're not finding our rhythm yet, as we've said. We're not playing brilliantly. In spells we are, but not consistently. And I don't know. Obviously, we lost our only other game in the Champions League at Meadow Park. I know Lyon are a much better team than Real Madrid, but Real Madrid have got some good players. We saw that last season. They can cause us problems. They will cause us some problems. We've got to find a solution. And realistically, when you look at that table, we can't afford to drop more points now, can we? Having already dropped 6 points already in the group. I mean, Andreas, do you think this game will be like last season's one, or do you think it's going to be a lot more difficult? The home game, I mean, obviously.
It will be difficult, and it will depend on if we and itself that have a good performance, then we will go out again with the confidence, and we we will run about Madrid. They have 7 points in the league for it's to last week for Chelsea game for Real Madrid draw at the result. And for us, we should if we want to keep our chance to the top if we all reach playoff, then it could be enough 1 point against Madrid and then beating Bayern and Leuven. Yeah, but it will be difficult. And look at the squad from Madrid. They have like Caroline Weir. She scored the equalizer against Paris FC in 8th minute of stoppage time. They have Linda Caicedo, Sarah Debritz, former German international. The squad is really good for Madrid. I saw them in pre-season against Bayern Munich, and this was absolutely a weak performance for Madrid. But then they had 2 good performances against Eintracht Frankfurt when they qualified for the Champions League phase. Difficult to say. Maybe it helps to play at Meadow Park, because I think on a Wednesday evening at the Emirates we would have, let's say, 8,000, 9,000, and would be empty. Not to be compared to last season when the atmosphere at the Emirates was fantastic for this second leg against Madrid. So maybe a filled Meadow Park with good atmosphere can help us. Yeah, everybody knows how important the game is. As I said, losing Spurs and Madrid might cause a change in the manager position, but also this would mean the team is done for this season and will not win anything. So I think the players know what to do, and that they are now that they are now called to bring out their best. They will be concentrated and give their everything. But I'm optimistic for the Spurs game, but not for the Madrid game. I think we'll go out with a draw, as Madrid is always dangerous, and we have our weakness in defense in the defending part of the midfield. Will open spaces for players like Caicedo and Weir. So my prediction is 2-2. It's not enough, but maybe enough to reach the playoffs if we win the next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, John says there, Champions League games, Real Madrid at home, Twente at home, and Leveren away. I can see us losing to Madrid and winning the other 2 to scrape through. Yeah, I don't think we'll lose it to Real Madrid at home. I don't think we will. But let's see. LG says, I genuinely believe Olivia has all the makings to be the best player in the world, but I doubt if Renee is the right manager to guide her to that upper echelon. Emma Hayes would surely do that. Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, but let's see. I mean, it's still fairly early days for Olivia Smith at Arsenal. She's had her great moments, but she's still a little bit raw, isn't she? And she does need to be coached better as well. You're right. And has Renee got the capabilities to do that and bring the best out of her? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, over the next year or so, won't we? Or however long Renee's here for. But no, I kind of agree with you. Yeah, I think Olivia Smith has got all the characteristics to be a top player. But let's see where she goes. I'm excited to watch her. I think she's done some good stuff for us. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the Real Madrid game, I kind of agree. We're not playing well enough at the minute to feel confident really about many games the way we're playing, because we just don't know which Arsenal is going to turn up, and that's the problem, isn't it? We've said this so many times, but obviously if we play well, it's going to be a nice compact atmosphere there. We know the atmosphere at Meadow Park is good, and I'm sure that will help. But again, maybe the Tottenham game is going to have an impact. If we lose to Spurs, for example, confidence will be on the floor, and it's going to be difficult to lift ourselves for that game again, isn't it, I suppose? But, and I said, we've got a target on our back in the Champions League anyway, and everyone wants to beat us this season because, we're the holders. Of course they do. So it's going to be tough, absolutely. Last season's game at the Emirates was one of our best performances of the season, wasn't it? That second leg was, the second half of the second leg in particular, was fantastic. I'm not expecting that this time, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a bit more of a struggle. And yeah, a draw kind of... I think if we beat Spurs, we'll beat Real Madrid. I think that will probably what will happen. I think we'll take some momentum from that game into the Real Madrid game and we'll win. If we don't beat Spurs with the confidence low, I think we're going to struggle to beat Real Madrid, and maybe a draw then might be the best result we could hope for. Which in the, we're not going to get top 4 now in that Champions League group. When you look at who the top 4 are, we're not going to catch them. We've already dropped 6 points. What we have to focus on is making sure that we get in that next group, so that we get to the playoffs at least. And we should, with those 3 games we've got left, certainly the last 2, you'd expect us to get 6 points from them 2 games. And regardless of the Madrid result, that will probably be enough. But I don't want us to scrape through by the skin of our teeth. I want us to qualify in some style, win these last 3 games. That's what I want to see us do. But I'm not confident at the moment. I'm going to go for a win because I think we'll beat Tottenham. So because of that, I think we'll beat Madrid because we've beaten Tottenham. So I'll go maybe 2-1. I think we'll sneak it 2-1, and that'll be okay. Joe says that Real Madrid was the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at the Emirates, and there was only 23,000. Yeah, that was a fantastic game. There's no doubt, and I think that was the performance that we produced that day gave everyone belief that, you know what, this team could do it. I think we all believed that day, didn't we? After that second half comeback. but obviously things are a lot different right at this moment in time. But let's see. I think we'll win. If we beat Spurs, we'll beat Madrid as well. LG says the worry I have about Meadow Park is that teams have started to press us high this season, and it's an advantage for away teams at a smaller pitch like Meadow Park. We sort of against that is true. We've got to find a solution to that, I suppose. That's to do that. Have Real Madrid got it in them to do that press that effectively? I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I think at the Emirates we seem to generally find ways around that, don't we? Because of the bigger pitch, we've got more space. It's difficult to press us for 90 minutes at the Emirates. But yeah, you're right. If you come with the right game plan at Meadow Park, you've got a chance of pulling it off. Let's see what Madrid do. But it's more about how we play anyway. I think if we can play anywhere near our best level, we should win both of these games. My worry is at the minute we're making too many mistakes. We're not consistent enough. Our midfield's too open. Renee doesn't seem to know how to put things right enough, make the right substitutions at the right time often enough, and it could easily go wrong. I think next week we'll either be sitting here, it's going to go one of two ways. We'll either be sitting here next week and say, oh, a great week, we've turned it round, we can now start to have a more positive outlook for the rest of the season, or we'll be sitting here saying, what's happening? You know, as Renee, is she done now? Is she got to go? She's reached as far as she can. So it's going to be one of those. I don't think it's going to be a middle ground. I don't think we'll have one good game, one poor game. I think we'll either have two good games or we'll have two bad games. I think that's what it's going to come to, and that's going to happen one way or the other. Let's hope it's two good games because we certainly need them. But yes, it's been it's been a difficult week, shall we say, with one thing or another. We know what happened in the Chelsea game. We know what's happened in the Bayern Munich game. Neither really went in the way we would have hoped, but that's done. What we've got to do now, what the players have got to do, what Renee's got to do is focus now on getting the right result on Sunday, because that is so important now for everybody, for confidence, for morale, and for the fact that, you know, I think a lot of our fans can be quite forgiving, I think. No matter how bad things seem to get, they're quite forgiving. You know, they're not going to criticise too much. But I think if we lose to Spurs, that's different. You know, people get upset by losing to Spurs a lot more easily than they get upset by losing to other teams or not playing well against other teams. So it's a big game, and it's a really important game for Renee. It's a really important game for the team. So let's play how we did in the second half against Chelsea or the first half against Bayern. Let's play like that, no problem. We all know that we'll win that game if that's what happens, but can we do it? I suppose that's the question, isn't it? But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, last week it was a big week. Chelsea and Bayern Munich, two really big games that we look forward to. Unfortunately, neither of them went particularly well in the end. This week it's two games of a different type of nature. You know, obviously the North London derby is a big game. And of course, Real Madrid in the Champions League. So it's another big week. It's not getting any easier, is it really? John, so I think we'll get one good game and one bad game because we're so inconsistent, and have two hard games very close together, and that will take a lot out of the team. Yeah, maybe you're right, actually. Maybe you're right. I just feel at the minute, the way that things are going, we seem to be a team that's about, I don't know, momentum. So we'll either play well or we won't. And that will probably happen in both games. But anyway, let's hope we have two good games and we win them both. Or even if we have two bad games, if we win them both, we won't be so bothered, I suppose. But the performances are important as well, aren't they? Because at the end of the day, that's what builds confidence. That's what builds belief, is how you play. Yes, results help. But I don't think where we are at the minute, I don't think two bad performances, even if we was to scrape wins in both games, is really what we need. We do need at least one of them games to be a good performance, don't we? A real starting point that we can look at and say, this is how we need to play, the benchmark for going forward, because we don't seem to have found it. We don't seem to have found it, that consistency, do we? But anyway, I mean, obviously, Andreas, you'll be going to both. You won't be going to the Spurs game. You'll be going to the Madrid game. But did you get a ticket?
Yeah. Yes. I have my ticket for the Madrid game, and I hope that things will change. And last games at Meadow Park were not the best. We lost the cup game against Liverpool. We lost to Lyon. So let's start anew. Start winning again at Meadow Park. I hope so. Yeah. But anyway, I said 2-2, and
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think 2-2 would be a disaster. Let's be honest. I suppose in the overall scheme of things, but I mean, I think we can win. If we beat Spurs, we'll beat Madrid. That's how I look at it. So I'm going to say we'll win. Joe says Arsenal won't do anything about Renee before the end of the season. Yeah, you're probably right. I kind of agree with you, but I think if we did lose these next 2 games, that's massive pressure, isn't it, on her and on the club? Because where we'll be in the league if we lose to Spurs, then obviously where we'll be in the Champions League if we lose to Madrid, it's not looking good, is it? In either of those 2 big competitions, the 2 competitions that we're mainly judged on, or what we should be judged on. And I don't know, I think there's massive pressure if we're not going to lose the 2 games, but if the worst did happen, then I do think that there's pressure there. The club will be under pressure. They will to look at it. I'm not saying they'll get rid of Renee. I'm not saying they will, but the pressure will be there on the club to be at least be looking at the situation and thinking, what's happening? What is going wrong? Because it would be at the minute. It's like I think we're almost tinkering there. It's not quite been a disaster of a season yet, but it hasn't been a great season either. It's tinkering on there, and we're just 1 or 2 results either way of it going one way or the other, aren't we? It's either we can either push on and go off on a great run of results, win 6, 7, 8 in a row, and like we did last season, or it could go the other way. We start dropping, and then there's pressure, isn't there? We're a big club. We can't afford to keep doing that. John says, I always go positive, so 1-0 to the Arsenal. Well, yeah, 1-0 will do. We'll take 1-0 against Real Madrid all day long. It gives us those 3 points, and that'll, with the 2 games after that, you'd expect that's enough to qualify, really. If we beat Madrid, you'd have to say we're probably going to qualify. If we lose to Madrid, we've got work to do. We've got work to do in those 2 games, which, we should be good enough to do, but who knows the way things are going up. I don't know. I mean, it has been a very, very difficult week, let's be honest. We've looked at our own performances, good and bad in both the games, to be fair. There's been some great things and some really bad things. And obviously, we know the situation with the referees, which is not great at the minute, but that's not going to improve anytime soon, let's be honest. LG says, I think the reason why Russo seems to start at the 10 ahead of Marnham is because Marnham is a low-touch player, Russo is a high-touch player. Frida doesn't usually dictate games. She doesn't, but she does get herself in some great positions, and she does score a lot of goals. I mean, yeah, obviously, Leslie scores goals as well. But if you're looking at the number 10 position, Frida scores more goals in the number 10 position than Leslie Russo does. Leslie scores more goals because she's playing mostly as a number 9. When she plays in number 10, she doesn't score as many goals as Frida does in that position, I don't think. But it's an interesting one because they're different type of players, aren't they? Should either of them 2 be number 10? Should Mariona not be number 10? Yeah. That's, I mean, what do you think, Andreas? I mean, they've been our main 2 number 10s this season, haven't they? Frida and Leslie Russo mainly. Should we be looking at Mariona there?
Yeah, we are playing too many players out of position, and Mariona is not a number 6; she's number 10 for me. Leslie Russo is a number 9. Yeah, she's working a lot, and she's great in protecting the ball, in build up everything. But she should be in the box. and Frida would be my first sub as number 10, but starting Mariona there, and she's wasted as a number 6, and she loses too many balls and is not closing the gaps in defense, so it's the wrong position for her. Mariona at 10, Leslie Russo at 9. That's my decision.
I agree. I kind of agree. Yes, I think if we're looking at playing players in their strongest positions, and that's obviously the way it should be. Mariona is not a 6, absolutely not. You're right. She does give the ball away too many times because she wants to do something clever. She wants to try and make something happen. That's her natural game, and that's fair enough. When you're higher up the pitch, you lose the ball. Like last season, she lost the ball hundreds of times. It didn't matter because she's up that end of the pitch. This season, you lose the ball in that position in the pitch, and you're in trouble, aren't you? It happened against Bayern Munich. That was one of the goals. Was literally down to that. So, it's again something Renee needs to sort out because she's the one who picks the team. She's picking the players in these strange positions sometimes, and you're thinking, what are you doing? And that's why we question her, because we look at stuff and think, what are you doing? She should know best, but I sometimes wonder. But anyway, look, at the end of the day, we'll see what team she picks on Sunday and see who plays in number 10 and whether she'll stick with Stina and Leslie together. again, which worked quite well against Chelsea at times in the game. Didn't work so well against Bayern Munich, really. I suppose it did in the first half, but it didn't. Well, she changed it, I suppose. Didn't get a chance to see much in the second half. So it's very telling that most of us don't see any clean sheets in the future. No, we don't. We concede in too many chances. That's why. The fact that Daphne's been one of our best players in quite a few games this season shows we're conceding too many chances in games. You're not going to keep clean sheets defending the way we do. So, but that's a midfield issue as well, isn't it? We're too open in midfield, partly because of Mariona there, partly because of not replacing Awfc. So, lots to think about for Renee, lots to think about for us as well. But hopefully we'll get it right this week. LG says that number 10 it should be a high touch player, and Mariona is the answer. Yeah, the problem with Frida at the 10 is unless she scores, she usually doesn't contribute. Well, I think she links the play quite well. She can play some nice balls and stuff, but she's not overall. She's not as good a player as Mariona. You want your best player in the number 10, like you said, someone who can get on the ball, make things happen. And Frida doesn't do that enough. You're right. I agree with you. But I do like Frida, and I think she has a lot to offer. But yeah, as Andreas rightly said, maybe as a sub coming in, she's an effective sub, isn't she? Because she does score goals. She knows where to be. She makes great runs into the box. She gets on the end of things, and she can score. So, but yeah, let's hope that Renee. I mean, I used to think she watched the show, but I don't think she does anymore because she didn't listen to Andreas last week against Bayern Munich. She doesn't play Mariona in number 10, and we've been saying to do it all season. The only thing she's been listening to in the last couple of weeks is she's actually been playing Stina, and Stina's been playing well. She's been starting her, and she's played well. She got 2 goals against Leicester. She was unlucky not to get a goal against Chelsea. She played really well against Bayern Munich in the first half, and then got taken off. But anyway, Renee, if you are listening, sort it out. Play Mariona at number 10. Put Kyra in number 6. At least she's the best we've got, maybe in that position while Kim's out, and see where we go from there. But anyway, we'll see what happens on Sunday. We'll see what the team selection is. But yeah, I don't know. Joe says 2 of our best players in their natural positions are playing at different positions. Yeah, they are. You're right. They are. And it's not. It wouldn't be so bad if it was working, but it's not, is it? So it's like put people where they should be. Square pegs in round holes doesn't work. It just doesn't. They don't fit in properly. So yeah. I don't know. Renee's obviously seeing something that we're not. She sees the players every day in training. We don't. But all we can go off is what we see on the pitch on match day, and it's not working often enough to make you want to carry on with it. Change it. We've had 10, 11, 12 games this season. We've won less than half our games. It's not good enough. Let's change something. Let's get players playing in more suitable positions for them. Play our best players in the right positions, and maybe we play better. Who knows? At least try it. If it doesn't work, then maybe have a rethink. But it's not working now, really, is it? Anyway, look, it is what it is. It's been a up and down week, difficult week. Hasn't gone as we hoped it would. We were hoping for 2 wins. We hoped for. We didn't get any. But anyway, we've got another big week where again we're hoping for some. For 2 wins, and who knows where we'll be. We will obviously find out. Anyway, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good week, isn't it? There's going to be some great football we're going to see. I'm sure we're going to try and enjoy it, and it's going to be hopefully 2 good results is what we need, really. So that's it then for this week's show. I know we had a few issues at the start, but we got there in the end, which has been good. John says, we do need a good weekend. You're right. We're going to get one, don't worry. Changes, yeah. David Bowie said that, didn't he, Ryan? Indeed. And that's what we maybe need, a few changes, don't we? So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you to all your comments again, as always. Well, so many comments. Hopefully I got through most of them, I think. So thank you for joining us again. Make sure you do like and subscribe. I don't know if I'll be able to do the game on Sunday because I'm not sure what time we're going to get back. We're coming back home on Sunday, but I may not be back in time, so I may just have to watch it. I don't know if I'll have time to get prepared and get set up. I'll probably be home for kickoff, but maybe only just, so probably won't get time to do the game, unfortunately. But we will be here for the Wednesday game against Real Madrid for definite, because that is going to be good. So join me definitely on Wednesday, and then of course next Friday. Is it international break, or is there another game next weekend? It's international break, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming. There are a few big cup games, but we are.
Yeah. So yeah, so we'll do a show next Friday anyway, because obviously these 2 games look back on anyway. So we'll definitely do a show next week and get that done. So that'll be good. And I say I will be a Wednesday night, definitely for the Real Madrid game, and that is going to be a good one. So yeah, thank you for watching. Obviously, thanks to Andreas as always. Have you enjoyed the show? Not the best 2 games to be talking about, I guess, but it is what it is, I suppose, isn't it? And you know, it's at least we've got 2 more games to look forward to.
For supporters face it's not the times in the games. So that's everybody here, and yeah, I enjoyed the show.
Good stuff. John says, let's hope Wednesday is unreal. Yeah, that's good. Unreal. Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? If it's unreal. I like that. Unreal, yeah. Ryan says, yes, England play at the end of the month. Yeah, they do. That's right. Yeah, there's 2 games coming up, isn't there? So, yeah, but that wouldn't be next week, though, would it? Next weekend isn't the end of the month, is it? It's the weekend after. Anyway, I don't know. But anyway, I think there is an international break. Somebody goes says, yeah, but this isn't my internet, is it? Because we're away, so this isn't my internet. This is someone else's internet. It's actually all right. I didn't even think I'd be able to do a show at all, to be fair. So I'm quite happy we managed to get through it. Not too bad. So yeah, thanks you guys for watching. Obviously, thanks to Andreas as always. Joe says if you can't play people in natural positions, then the squad depth is not deep enough. Well, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, we haven't got players in those. But yeah, you're right. That's probably part of it, isn't it? I think there's a few reasons, but yeah, that would be one of the reasons. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. And don't forget to say enjoy. If you are at the game on Sunday, the North London derby, enjoy. Hopefully we'll get the right result. And of course, Wednesday at Meadow Park, if you're there and you bump into Andreas, do say hello. Maybe get on the vlog if you can. You can replace Gunnosaurus on the vlog, you see, if you can get to speak to Andreas. So that'll be good. Look out for that, because that's always good. And I say I will see you definitely Wednesday for the Madrid game, because it's going to be fun, isn't it? So we're looking forward to it. It's a good week. Thank you for joining me. Obviously, thanks to Andreas. Thanks for you guys, and we'll see you very, very soon. Of course, John says have a great fun weekend. Yeah, hopefully the weather's a bit mad, but anyway, we'll be fine. So enjoy the weekend, guys. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and we'll see you soon. See you soon, guys. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do this. Come on, let's turn this round. Let's do it. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.